Hi everyone, welcome to the Irritum Indie Game Development blog. This episode will probably just be going over what my plans are for the game and probably the game's story, some mechanics I have laid out, etc. This should go without saying, these are major spoilers. If by any means you don't want the game spoiled for you, if you want a surprise ending or anything like that, if you want to figure it out for yourself, don't watch. You can get by without watching this. The last thing I want is for someone's enjoyment of the game to be lost. Now, what I would suggest is go out and get the game if it's out, whenever it does release. Get it, then come back and watch this video, and you can see my design process of the elements that you already know and hopefully love. So, that's what my suggestion would be. So, again, from here on out, spoilers everywhere. So, basically, I've got a design document, just a list of everything that I want to include in the game right here. Nothing formal. If anyone's thinking if they should do a design document, honestly, if you don't need to, if it's just like a quick flash game or something that just like one mechanic and it just endless runner or something like that, I mean, you really don't need one. Mine isn't even really a design document. I just have a list on my second monitor here of everything that I want to include in the game. And some of it's how to program it, some of it's, what the story will be like, maybe questions of things that I should answer, things like, should there be collectibles in every level, should there just be one goal, stuff like that. But let's get on through here. So I mentioned in the other video, the basic mechanic is that you can only stay on one color at one time. So if you want to land on another color, my example is from red to blue, you have to switch from red to blue by just pressing one of the number keys. Like right now I have number 1 activates red and deactivates all the other colors. 2 is blue, 3 is yellow, 4 green, 5 is purple, 6 is orange. So there are 6 colors. I'm thinking of moving those around because 6 can get kind of hard to reach in like split second decisions. So I'm thinking of moving them around a little bit. But anyways, I've got how I have it broken up is that for each mechanic I'm going to aim for about 3 levels. It depends on how it feels, what the flow of the game is. I don't want people to get bored after just the first level because they think that this is all the game's going to be. I have to get out there, get rolling, get people into it as soon as possible. So pretty much how I have it broken up. The first level is just going to be basic. You pretty much walk, fall, and jump on. It's a white platform. You don't need to change the color at all to stand on it. You can always stand on it, except for later in the game. We'll get to that. But so you can always stand on it. And this just shows the player, hey, you can jump over this stuff. You don't want to fall into this endless black void below you. It's really easy. I mean, look, simple. Just jump over this and get to the end. Then the next element I'll include is just switching planes. Look, you can't stand on red and blue at the same time. You have to make a choice. So show the player, look, you can do these. And in these, I call them introductory levels with the new, when I do a new mechanic, just be like, hey, look, mess around with this a little bit. I put a white platform under him, tell him, look, you can mess around with this. You don't have to worry about dying. Just get accustomed to this mechanic because you're going to be using it a lot. So the next couple levels after the introduction level are just going to be with the switching colors, for example. Here, look at these. You can switch colors, make sure that you're on the right one at the right time. Sometimes they can get in your way if you're not paying attention. And then the next level gets a little bit more difficult. The white levels under them, they're all gone, so if you fall, you die. Go back to the end of the level or a checkpoint. And you have to figure out what you're jumping on. You have to make sure that one of the tricks I'm having is where you have a platform, let's say red, blue, and if you're jumping to blue, if you jump off the red, if you switch to blue too early, I can put a blue wall right here, you'll hit it and you'll fall down. Or if you switch it to it, that would be too late. If you switch it to too early, I can put a red one right here, and then you can jump in, hit that, and I can put them whichever way. And that adds a lot of depth with timing, or it gives me the, I can force the player to learn timing, and if they want to do it early, if they want to wait till the last second, stuff like that. And then the third level just got almost this, I wouldn't say the same, but I can add in very many colors. At this point in the game, the player only has 3 color options, the red, blue, and yellow. So I can tell them if they're jumping, if they need to switch from a red to a yellow, for example, I can put blue in between, which is saying pretty much you can't switch to blue when you jump in here because you'll hit that and fall. So you have to switch from red to either, I can tell them, I can add in yellow and red too and tell them what color they have to be, or if they can jump, they have to switch colors twice in midair, which can get pretty complicated. That's a good thing though. Let's see. Another element or mechanic that I'm going to be including is moving platforms. This is primarily green, orange, and purple. These platforms are just going to either rotate in the y-axis, z-axis, or x-axis, and just the player's just going to have to land on them and be very mindful of what angle and degrees they're at. They can fall. Also, they'll have to keep in mind that if they're standing on what platform it's moving, if they hit something that's stationary, they'll get pushed off the platform. And then later on in the game, or even later levels of the series, I'll have it where the players, where the red, blue, and yellow can also move, because that just gives it so much more depth. I mean, why not? It would be good to keep it consistent between colors, what they can and can't do, but I don't think that'll be available with this. Another element I've got are little red orbs that are floating around. You can't hit them or you'll die. I mean, it's simple, but yeah, I can put them in very inconvenient places. Players would want to jump right here, but then they'll see the orb and be like, I don't want to hit that. Then branching off from that, we have like red lasers, ones that instead of like an orb that floats in one spot, we have lasers that stretch along a whole plane. Or we've also got, or I also have vortexes that have like 6 or 7 lasers, maybe sometimes as much as 10, rotating in one direction. Makes the player have to time their jump even further. Or I can have it switch rotating this way, and their player will have to mind where they're walking, what platforms they can stand on, when they want to stand on them, things like that. Another element that I've got is reverse gravity. Pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You can't go sideways, you can only go up or down. So if a player has got a red platform up here, and then their a blue one down here, and they need to get to this one, I mean, you can't stand on the bottom of it. There's no way you can jump that high. So what you can do is jump, reverse gravity, and land on the bottom of it, continue the level, or get wherever you need to get to. And I think, especially with moving platforms, that has a lot of potential. It's really a shame I can't work it in earlier in the game. I don't want to introduce reverse gravity mechanics before I let the player know that some platforms can move and that they're also dangerous that can hurt the player. But I would love to move that up, get in there as soon as possible. Another element or addition to the gameplay is something to boost the player. Originally I had a plan for a double jump, but I removed it partly because, one, it was incredibly hard to code, because the Unity scripts that I'm using, or I'm only using Unity scripts for the player to get them to move and everything like that, because honestly that's a bit beyond my programming knowledge. But it's unintelligible to me. They have 2 scripts added onto it. They're talking to each other. I can't make heads or tails of it, and it's in JavaScript, which isn't even a real language. It's like a mix between actual JavaScript and whatever the hell else, and it's a mess. And I program in C#, so I can't make heads or tails of it. So I just didn't worry about it. I've got like I said, the boost mechanic is pretty much the same as double jump. You just boost up, shoots them up high, and then the player falls back down. Almost the same as double jump, but a lot easier to code. Another one, let's see. Another mechanic are cracking textures. If a player comes in contact with a certain color, it's going to be a little bit different texture. I did a mosaic print in GIMP to get this effect, but pretty much it's all cracked, the texture of it. Anyways, the player lands on it, and whenever I implement sound effects, it's going to eventually, the object to the players on the color is going to explode, and the player can't stand on it anymore. It's going to come back in case players jump on it and then they're like, oh shit, and they jump backwards and then it goes away and doesn't come back. Well, then they're stuck and they have to die. That's unacceptable. So it'll destroy itself and then it'll come back after a couple seconds, however long I set it to come back, and then I can set it so they destroy quicker, destroy longer, change the difficulty for whatever the level is. Another element is platforms. We already talked about moving platforms, ones that just constantly rotate one direction. I've also got an idea for platforms that move differently when they're only activated. So let's say you've got purple sitting here. Where's the... Alright, so you got purple sitting here, red, and you're like, oh, I can jump on this. I'm going to switch to purple real quick. But as soon as you activate it, it can scoot back, and then you're shit out of luck. Or you can figure it out. I think that it has a lot of potential for confusing players, but I think it'll be really rewarding for players that can master it and understand it. They'll have to figure out that they can't just jump headfirst onto these platforms because they have a different texture too, like the cracking textures. They'll understand that they can't just jump into it headfirst without thinking at all. They have to see what the platform does. They have to know what they're doing before they go into it. They have to think about it, and that's what I really want them to do. The next element after that I want to introduce is platforms that change colors. Ones that either I have it on a timer, and I'm not really sure how to indicate what color they're going to transform to next. Something that I can program relatively easily within just a couple hours. But it's going to be all the objects so far are cubes. They're going to be a cube, and it's going to switch colors randomly throughout a randomly generated minimum, maximum time. Got to pick something in between that range, and it's going to switch to a color within that amount of seconds, and it's going to switch to a random color. And so this will give the later levels at least a little bit more leeway with their flexibility and the uniqueness. Next element are portals and teleporters, self-explanatory. This element really comes into play with the next element that I want, or the next couple elements that follow the next couple mechanics. They're all kind of come bundled together, and I can't put them all in at the same time because I think that'll really overwhelm the player, because these mechanics, at least how I have them in my head, are very, very complicated, and when they're all used interchangeably, it can get very confusing to players. So teleporters, portals, those are really, self-explanatory. Walk in this one, come out this one. Then the next element that the player learns after that is that you can activate white, the white color that you've previously been able to stand on whenever. You can turn that on and off, but you can turn it on by coming in contact with the white orb that's floating around. So you come in contact with that orb, white turns off. You come back in contact with it, white turns on. And then this also builds off of specifically the next element, where a player can separate themselves and have a shadow of themselves, or a ghost, walk around and do stuff also. The ghost, I already have this programmed also. Pretty much the player can change all the colors or do whatever they want, but when they come into the ghost can't do any of that. Ghost is stuck with whatever the player... If the player turned on blue and then switched to ghost can't change it from blue to anything. He can only stay on the blue platforms. And so, but unique to the ghost, he can't be destroyed by any of the lasers or the burn orbs or anything else. He's invincible, essentially, unless he falls. But I think that'll be very easy, or very, I wouldn't say easy, but very exciting to get that to work with both the teleporters and the colored orbs that will change whether white can be stood on or not. And that actually gets me very excited. And that's the last of the mechanic. I have levels planned after that, just a couple though, just to round out the game, pretty much almost like a final exam, if you will, where just go over everything, be like, this is everything that you know how to do. Now look at the first level, look at this one, look how awesome you are. So, that's it for the mechanics. Now, about the story, again, this is a spoiler part. If you want to avoid this, I suggest you do. The story, how I want it to be, is after every level or so, or every sequence of levels or mechanic or something like that, the player gains, they move towards an object and they pick up the object. And the object is a part of the brain. For example, the first object that the player picks up is the medulla oblongata, which controls a person's autonomic systems, like their breathing, their heart rate, things like that. So, in the direction I want to move, the player, at the end of the game, the player finds out that they've committed suicide. The whole thing starts because the player committed suicide. They kill themselves, they die. What happens at the beginning of the game is a big lightning bolt comes down, or electricity or something, pretty much just symbolizes shock, which symbolizes somebody defibrillating you, and you get your medulla oblongata, your autonomic systems, to get reactivated. You essentially, in the physical state, come back to life. You get your heart rate, you come back alive, you gain the basic necessities of life, which is the very first levels, which is just the basics. You move on later to gain the part of your brain that has reflexes, which comes in with the moving platforms and the lasers. You later gain the hippocampus, which has to do with navigation. That's when you learn the elements of the reverse gravity and the boost bubbles. You later gain the pons, which helps you, which is usually usually pertaining to dreams and your sleep cycle. And this is where the strange elements start coming with the cracking textures, the platforms that change colors, and platforms that move differently when you're activated. Stuff that makes you go like, that's different. That wasn't what I was expecting. Then you get the part of your brain that does emotion. That's when you get the teleporters, the shadow of yourself, kind of symbolizing this separate entities between your soul and your mind. And then after this final, if you will, the final levels, you'll get back your cerebrum, which contains your learning and your memory. But at which point in the game, you discover you regain your memories back. You've killed yourself for whatever reason. The player has tried to commit suicide. You shot yourself in the head. The player UV map actually has a hole right here to show a bullet hole from shooting himself. Essentially, you shot yourself to try to kill yourself. They defibrillated you, brought you back to life, but you're a vegetable. You're stuck inside your own mind. The last level, after you beat everything, is just going to be. I haven't decided whether I want it to be symbolizing a jail cell or a cage to represent that and be very closely to it, or rather just want it to be a flat planet. I don't know how I want it to be, but you're gonna, and I haven't found out really how to convey all this to the player yet, either through voice, text, and background, or just give a paragraph or a sentence or so explaining the part of the brain. But essentially, that's how it ends. You find out that you, the player, you've killed yourself. You've gone through this journey to do whatever you're trying to do, get to the end of these levels, and you're actually reactivating your brain, coming back to life. But you come so close. You get to your cerebrum, you get all of your brain reactivated, but you're not there. You can't connect with your physical body. You're stuck inside the prison that is your body because you tried to kill yourself. And it's essentially the story. And I know a lot of people are going to say it's very macabre, but I like that. I think that's I like that word a lot. And what I really want to do is try to push the boundaries for emotion in games. I know a lot of people, push for new gameplay elements or new graphics or anything. But I think a way that we should be expanding in as game developers, and I say we because I might be one soon or later or whatever, but a direction that we should be going is to, while also finding new gameplay elements, new gameplay techniques to make everything unique, we need to convey emotion as well. It's not unique to films. Just like video games, they have unique actions that are unique to video games, such as the immersiveness. We can use that to so much more than just, whoa, ultra realistic graphics, whoa, explosions. We can use that to so much more, so much greater potential than that. We can really, really put someone into someone else's shoes and make them feel so much greater than movies or music can. So, anyways, I think this video's gone on for long enough, almost 20 minutes. So, if someone's made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching all this way. Actually, I think for longer videos, I might do what Boogie likes to do. He likes to say a secret word. So I'll just say a secret word is, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it next time. Doritos. I got a bag of Doritos right here. So, secret word is Doritos. If anybody cared to watch the end of this video, please let me know. I really will be interested, and that will make me honestly happy if someone made it this far in the video. So please leave that comment. Everyone else, have a good one. See you next time.